Hello. We've got a quick job to do today relating to the Koso gauge that I installed 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now when I fitted the gauge, as you'll know if you've seen the video I did of it, for the rev counter I used, there's 2 options you get with the kit, and I used the simple option, which is simply to run the lead from the Koso gauge and wrap the wire around the spark plug. And that's a simple way of putting in the rev counter. Now the readings I'm getting on the gauge with that are pretty erratic. I don't think it works very well. So we're going to do the other option, which is the more recommended one, which is use the second cable you get, which is this one here. And this attaches to the coil at the back of the zoomer. This goes to the coil, it sort of connects into the wiring that's already there, and then this cable goes to the gauge itself, and it should give us a more accurate rev counter reading, which is important if you're looking to tune the bike a bit, and especially with the iMap at the moment, when I'm trying to work out what that is actually doing. So you want an accurate rev counter for that, to see if the iMap is in any way taking the bike past the rev limiter. So the instructions are fairly straightforward. So we're going to take the paneling, strip the paneling off the bike again, remove the rev counter cable I put on around the spark plug, and run this cable from the coil right up to the Koso gauge. So I'll show you that in brief. It's just a little add-on. Just if anyone buys the gauge, it's probably as well to do that option for the rev counter rather than the simple one, because you'll save yourself a bit of time. And as I say, the simple one isn't working particularly well. The readings are pretty erratic. So that's it. We're going to go down, take the panels off the bike, and then I'll show you how we're fitting that. Okay, so that's the covers off. This is the coil. This is the connector we're going to add the rev counter wire into in a moment. First of all, we're going to take off the basic one I wrapped around the spark plug cable. Just get rid of that, trace it back to the connector on the Koso, and then we can just plug the new wire in. So first of all, we get rid of this, and then we'll have a look at adding the new wire into the coil. So this is the wire that came with the Koso. So one connector goes directly onto the coil, the other one plugs into the connector that was on the coil. Obviously we'll get these bound up with tape, and then the wire will just trace itself back to the connector that comes directly off the Koso gauge, and that should nice and simply be that. Fingers crossed. Okay, so that's the wire run from the coil. I've just followed the wires, main wires down, underneath the petrol tank, back up into the battery box, and round to the correct connector straight off the Koso. So now we'll just test it, make sure it's working, and put everything back together again.